Well, when I was first diagnosed, I was around 9, and I was probably in about year 5, nearly year 6. And when I first got it, it just felt like a sore throat. And then I got diagnosed with it when I went to the doctor, because I just said that I had a sore throat, and then realised I had like a big goiter, and my neck kind of stuck out. First, I was really scared because we got called in at midnight, but we weren't awake, obviously. And then we got called into the hospital, and then I went there, and I was scared because obviously I was only 9, and I generally thought I had cancer or something because they made it sound quite scary, and then I was just terrified. But then I remember a lady coming into the room and just telling us that I'd actually been diagnosed with Graves' disease, and it's quite rare for someone my age because I was only 9, and usually quite older people get it.
So the throat was getting worse and worse. And I said, well, I've got to go back. So I went back to the doctor and I said, he's not allergic to penicillin because he's had it when he's been with me. So they then put him on penicillin. But one of the doctors looked and she said, what's that big lump there? She observed that. And she said, I think you should go to the hospital. They took blood tests and then we went home. And then they called us in the middle of the night, which we didn't actually hear, but they said, you've got to come in urgently. And his thyroid levels, I think it was off the chart. It was beyond measure. He had antibodies, which they test for, and they said he has Graves' disease, which was very unusual. So we were all a bit alarmed, but anyway, they put him immediately on carbimazole, quite a high dose, and then they put him on, and also beta blockers, I can't remember the name of it, because his heart was racing fast. And they had picked up at school he was a bit hyper. So that was probably contributing. Anyway, they put him on the medication and gradually it started to decrease the levels, but it was quite a long time. And he was unwell, he was in quite a lot of pain. He was just uncomfortable all the time at night, and that went on for a few months. Tests for his thyroid levels every few weeks, and then they gradually reduced the carbimazole level, and if it wasn't right, they put it up again. But after about a few years, he was referred to Dr. Peters at Great Ormond Street, and she took on from there, was monitoring him and his levels and all the rest of it. And after a few years, she said, I don't think this is going to get rid of itself with medication, which it can do sometimes. So she suggested a more definitive treatment.
Once I had the diagnosis, they just kind of kept me on the medicine for a few years, and they would just change my levels. I'd have blood tests every month or 2, but then after a few years, that's when I had to decide between I had to decide between a radioactive pill or surgery, and the surgery would take my thyroid out, whereas the radioactive pill would just kind of get rid of it for a little bit, but it would always be there. So then when I went to the surgery, I came here to UCLH, and then you went on the bed and you would just chill, and then obviously the next day you'd be scheduled for the surgery, and then I had the surgery and it was very relaxing. Apart from that, it wasn't bad. Just woke up with a sore throat and then it was all gone. We chose the surgery because my grandmother, she talked to a top surgeon, and he said that if it was his child, he would choose the surgery over the pill, and the surgery completely gets rid of your thyroid, whereas the pill doesn't get rid of it. It kind of just makes it go away, but it never really goes away. Before my surgery, I used to take carbimazole, and that would make my thyroid work less because it was overactive. But now I take levothyroxine after my surgery, because now I don't make any thyroxine, so instead the levothyroxine actually makes my thyroxine for me. I think the most difficult thing is making sure I keep up with my medicine, because obviously everything will be out of balance if I don't take my medicine, but once you get used to having blood tests, it's not really as bad. Just the first time you have it, it's quite scary. I think it is definitely important, because although you think that it's not really a big deal, but your brain will just not function properly, and neither will your body, because obviously thyroxine is quite a key part in your body. If I forget to take my medicine, sometimes I skip a day, which isn't good, but usually I just take it a bit later, and I kind of change my schedule up.
If this is happening, don't worry. Honestly, it's very resolvable as long as you get the right information, and it's not just your GP, and you have to push, and if your GP doesn't pick up on it properly, you ask for a referral to your consultant in a pediatric department. Don't worry, it's really sounds easy now, not a big deal. Just get on top of it.
I just feel normal. I don't feel anything different. I think sometimes I might be a bit more tired if I don't take my medicine properly, but apart from that, I'm completely fine. Everyone's going to be scared in the beginning because it sounds quite scary, especially when you're young, because it's quite a rare thing to get. But you just have to kind of go through the process because eventually you'll get better. Just listen to your doctors and then just listen to your parents and they'll comfort you.